I still remember the sound, that faint, breathless laughter echoing from my son's room. At first, I thought I was imagining things. Kevin had been out all day with his friends, and my husband, Ben, had told me he was going to the store. But as I climbed the stairs that night, something inside me froze. The door was slightly open, and what I saw inside shattered every piece of trust I had left in my heart. Ben, my husband of 32 years, was there, and so was Emma, my son's fiancée. Their bodies tangled, their whispers shameless. For a moment I could not breathe. My knees buckled, and the only thing that escaped my mouth was a sound that would haunt me forever. But nothing could prepare me for who Emma truly was. Before I go any further, I just want to take a quick moment to thank everyone watching this story. To my returning viewers, you have been my biggest motivation, my constant support, and my reason for sharing stories like this. And to all my new viewers, welcome to this channel. I am so glad you are here. Please, if you have not subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It truly fuels this channel and keeps me sharing more real, emotional, and life-changing stories like this one. And do not forget to leave your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one of them. Now, let us go back to that night, the night that broke everything I thought I knew about my family. My name is Suzanne, and I am 57 years old. For most of my life, I believed I had it all: a peaceful home, a loving husband, and a son who made me proud every single day. Ben and I met when I was 24, fresh out of nursing school. He was charming, ambitious, and the kind of man who could light up a room with just his presence. For years, we built a life together, through struggles, sacrifices, and long nights when all we had was faith and each other. Then came Kevin, our only child. From the moment I held him, I promised myself that no matter what life brought our way, I would protect him with everything in me. When Kevin introduced us to Emma, his fiancée, I thought my heart could finally rest. She was beautiful, polite, and had this quiet grace about her that made me feel at ease. She said she was 26, an art student with dreams of becoming a designer. Kevin was head over heels for her. The way his eyes lit up when he looked at her reminded me so much of how Ben used to look at me. Little did I know, that very look would soon destroy me. It began with small things that seemed harmless at first. Emma started coming to the house even when Kevin wasn't around. She would tell me she wanted to surprise him or help me prepare dinner for the family. Sometimes she and Ben would sit at the porch, laughing about old movies or talking about sports. I thought it was sweet that she was bonding with her future father-in-law. But then I started noticing things that made my stomach twist. Ben began dressing differently. He would wear cologne before running errands. He started staying out late, giving excuses that made less and less sense. And Emma, she began acting oddly nervous whenever I entered a room. I told myself it was just my imagination. After all, I trusted Ben with my life. But the truth always has a way of finding its light, no matter how dark you try to keep it. That night, I had cooked dinner and was waiting for Ben to return. It was already past 8, and Kevin had gone to visit a friend. I noticed Emma's car parked outside. I thought she had dropped something off earlier. Then I heard it, the faint sound of laughter coming from upstairs. At first, I smiled. I thought maybe Kevin had returned. But as I got closer, I heard Ben's voice, low, familiar, and intimate. I pushed the door open just enough to see. There they were, Ben and Emma, the man who shared my bed for 3 decades, and the young woman who was supposed to marry my son? The room spun. I stumbled back, clutching my chest, feeling as though someone had ripped the air right out of my lungs. I wanted to scream, to rage, to tear the world apart, but no words came. Ben turned, his face pale. Emma gasped, pulling a blanket around herself. "Suzanne!" Ben stammered, reaching out to me. I slapped his hand away, trembling. "Do not say my name!" I said, my voice breaking. "Do not you dare!" I ran out of the room, tears blinding me as I stumbled down the stairs. I locked myself in the kitchen, shaking, replaying what I had seen over and over. How could he? How could she? But even in my pain, something gnawed at me. Emma's reaction, it wasn't just guilt. There was something else. A flicker of recognition, a secret. Something told me that night was not the end of my heartbreak. It was just the beginning. Later that night, while Ben begged me to talk, I noticed something on the dining table Emma must have dropped in the chaos. I opened it. Inside was an old photograph of a woman I once knew, a woman who had destroyed my marriage many years ago. And as I stared at that picture, one horrifying thought crossed my mind. Who exactly was Emma? I could not sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw their faces, Ben's pale, guilty expression, and Emma's wide, trembling eyes. My mind was trapped between disbelief and rage. But it was that locket that refused to leave my thoughts. That photograph, worn, faded, but unmistakable, showed a young woman with striking green eyes and the same dimple that Emma had when she smiled. Her name was Marianne Carter, and she was the woman my husband had once had an affair with 27 years ago. I sat at the dining table until sunrise, the locket in my hand, trying to make sense of the impossible. Could Emma really be related to Marianne? Could it be that the young woman my son was planning to marry was... No, I could not even finish that thought. When the morning light crept through the blinds, Ben walked in. He looked like a man who had aged 10 years overnight. His shirt was wrinkled, his eyes red. "Suzanne, please," he started, his voice low, desperate. "We need to talk." I looked at him, my voice trembling. "Do not say another word, Ben, not until you tell me how long this has been going on." He ran his fingers through his hair. "It was a mistake. It happened once, I swear." "Do not lie to me," I snapped. My voice echoed through the house. "Do you think I am a fool? You were with her in our son's room, in our house." He froze, his mouth opening but no words coming out. I could see the guilt pouring out of him, but then I noticed something subtle in his expression. It was not only guilt, it was fear, and that terrified me even more. After Ben left for work that morning, or so he claimed, I sat in silence, staring at that locket again. I knew I needed answers, and I could not rely on Ben to give them to me. So I decided to find them myself. I remembered Emma mentioning once that she worked part-time at an art studio in downtown Dallas. That afternoon, I drove there. My hands trembled as I held the steering wheel. My heart pounded in my chest the entire drive. When I arrived, I saw her through the glass window, sitting at a desk, sketching quietly. Her brown hair was tied in a loose bun, and the sunlight fell softly on her face. She looked so innocent, but I knew better. I walked in, pretending to be calm. She looked up, startled. "Mrs. Harris," she said softly, standing up. I wanted to call you." I cut her off. "Do not pretend you care. Just tell me who you really are, Emma." Her eyes widened. "I do not understand." "Oh, you understand perfectly," I said, pulling the locket from my bag and placing it on the table. The color drained from her face. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she sank back into her chair, her voice shaking. "Where did you find that?" "In my dining room, after you destroyed my family." Tears filled her eyes. She tried to speak, but the words came out broken. "I did not mean for any of this to happen." "Then tell me who you are," I demanded. She looked down at the floor, her voice barely a whisper. "My mother's name was Marianne Carter." The room spun around me. I felt my knees weaken. Your mother?" "Yes," she said, sobbing now. "She told me everything about your husband, about how he left her, how she raised me alone. I never knew he was your husband, not until recently. I swear I did not." I stared at her, unable to breathe. It could not be true. It should not be true. My son had fallen in love with the daughter of the woman my husband betrayed me with decades ago. And worse, Ben had once again betrayed me with her. I remember the first time I found out about Marianne. Ben and I were struggling financially then. Kevin was still a child, and I was working double shifts at the hospital. Ben had just started his own construction business. He hired a new secretary, a beautiful young woman named Marianne. She was barely in her 20s, vibrant, full of life. I trusted Ben completely back then, so I didn't think much when he started coming home late. But one night I found a message on his phone. "Thank you for the evening. I will never forget it." When I confronted him, he swore it meant nothing. He begged, cried, and promised it would never happen again. And somehow, like a fool, I believed him. But that betrayal had always haunted me. I just never knew the price would one day come from my son. That evening, when Ben came home, I was waiting for him with the locket in my hand. "You have one last chance to tell me the truth," I said coldly. He stared at it, his eyes wide. "Where did you get that?" "So it's hers? Marianne Carter's?" He swallowed hard. "Suzanne, please, do not do this." "Do what?" I shouted. "Expose you for what you are? You cheated on me then, and now you've destroyed our son's life by sleeping with her daughter." He dropped his face into his hands. "I didn't know," he said. "I swear to you, I didn't know who she was when Kevin introduced her." "Then when did you find out?" He hesitated, then whispered, "A few months ago." I felt my blood run cold. "So you knew, and you still went to bed with her?" He looked up at me, tears streaming down his face. "She reminded me of Marianne. I couldn't stop myself." The disgust that filled me at that moment was indescribable. I could no longer recognize the man standing in front of me. I told him to pack his things and leave. But just before he walked out, he turned to me and said something that made my heart stop. "There is something you don't know, Suzanne. Emma might not only be Marianne's daughter." I froze. "What do you mean?" He looked at me with hollow eyes and whispered, "She might be my daughter, too." For a long moment, the world went silent. Ben's words hung in the air like a curse that refused to fade. "She might be my daughter, too." I felt my heart stop. My body went cold. My mind screamed, but my voice would not come. It was as if every wall, every memory, every shred of faith I ever had, all came crashing down at once. I could hear the clock ticking on the wall. The sound was sharp, echoing through the emptiness of the house. I finally managed to whisper, "What did you just say?" Ben took a shaky breath, his hands trembling. "I am not certain, Suzanne. I never knew Marianne was pregnant. After the affair, I ended things. She disappeared. I tried to move on. I stared at him, my chest burning. You mean to tell me that our son has been engaged to a woman who might be his sister? Then buried his face in his palms. I did not know, Suzanne. I swear I did not. I only found out a few weeks ago when I saw that locket around her neck. It was the same one Marianne used to wear. I took a step back, tears filling my eyes. You found out weeks ago and still you slept with her? Then silence was the loudest sound I had ever heard. I felt sick. My knees trembled. My whole body began to shake. You are a monster, a disgusting, selfish monster. He looked up at me, eyes red and desperate. I did not mean for this to happen. I never wanted to hurt you or Kevin. Please, Suzanne, we can fix this. We just have to find out the truth before what? I cut him off, trembling with fury. Before Kevin finds out that the woman he loves might be his sister, or before the world finds out what kind of man you really are. As if summoned by the chaos in my heart, I heard the front door open. Ben's voice filled the hall. Mom? Dad? What is going on? Why are there boxes here? Ben and I froze. I turned to see my son standing at the doorway, holding a bouquet of flowers. He smiled, that innocent, radiant smile that had always melted my heart. But that smile would not last. He took one look at me, the tears streaming down my face, and then at Ben, whose hands were shaking, his eyes full of guilt. Kevin frowned. What is happening? I opened my mouth, but the words refused to come. My heart was breaking all over again. Ben tried to speak first. Son, we need to talk. Talk about what? Kevin asked, glancing between us. His voice grew sharper. Did something happen? Is Mom okay? I could not take it anymore. My body moved on its own. I grabbed the locket from the table and held it out to Kevin. Ask your father, Kevin. Ask him what this is. Ask him who this belongs to. Kevin took the locket, confused. He looked at the photo inside, then at me. This looks like Emma's mom, he said softly. She showed me a picture once. I nodded, tears running down my cheeks. Yes, and your father knew her very well. Ben tried to step in, but I held up my hand. Do not you dare. Kevin looked from one of us to the other, his face growing pale. What is going on? My voice broke as I said it. Emma's mother was the woman your father had an affair with 27 years ago. Kevin's expression changed instantly. Confusion turned to horror. That's not true. Ask him, I screamed. Kevin turned to Ben. Dad? Ben looked at the floor. It was a long time ago, Kevin. I made a terrible mistake, but that's all it was. Kevin's voice cracked. And Emma? What about her? Ben hesitated. And that silence was all Kevin needed. Kevin stumbled back, shaking his head. No, this can't be real. You're lying. Kevin, listen to me, Ben pleaded. We do not know for certain if what? If I have been sleeping next to my sister? My heart broke in that moment. Watching my son crumble under the weight of a truth he didn't deserve was the cruelest thing I had ever witnessed. He turned toward me, eyes red, desperate. Mom, please tell me this is not true. I couldn't speak. I could only cry. Kevin threw the locket to the floor and ran out of the house. The sound of the door slamming echoed like thunder. I turned to Ben, my voice shaking. You destroyed him. You destroyed our family. He fell to his knees, sobbing. Suzanne, I am sorry. I never wanted this. But I didn't want his apologies. I wanted the truth. That night, I sat alone in the dark, the house silent except for my heartbeat. Then my phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. It read, You think you know the whole truth, Suzanne, But Marianne's daughter was not the only secret Ben kept from you. My hands trembled. I stared at the message, my heart racing. What other secret could there possibly be? The message on my phone haunted me through the night. You think you know the whole truth, Suzanne, but Marianne's daughter was not the only secret Ben kept from you. I read it over and over, trying to make sense of it. The number was hidden. The message came from no one I knew. My mind spun with fear, confusion, and exhaustion. What more could there possibly be? Had I not already lost enough? By morning, my face was swollen from crying, and my heart felt heavy with a pain no words could describe. My husband had betrayed me. My son's future was destroyed. And now, another secret. I needed answers. I needed peace. When Ben came downstairs that morning, I was already waiting for him, the phone in my hand. "Who sent this?" I asked, holding it up. He looked confused. "What are you talking about?" "Do not play innocent," I said, stepping closer. "Someone out there knows something. They said Marianne's daughter is not your only secret. So tell me, Ben, what else are you hiding?" He opened his mouth and closed it again. His silence said more than words ever could. I stared at him, shaking my head. "There is more, is there not? Another woman? Another lie?" He sighed heavily, his shoulders collapsing under invisible weight. "It was a long time ago, Suzanne, before you and I even married. I never thought it would come back." My heart began to pound. "Before we married?" He nodded slowly. "I was 20. There was a girl, a high school sweetheart. Her name was Helen. She got pregnant, but she told me she lost the baby before I could even process it. I never saw her again." I frowned. "And what does that have to do with now?" Ben hesitated, then whispered, "Because that baby did not die. And whoever sent that message might be her." My head began to spin. "Her?" He nodded. "My daughter." I stared at him in disbelief. "You mean to tell me there is another one? Another child you hid from me all these years?" He covered his face with his hands. "I did not know she was alive, Suzanne." I wanted to scream, but no sound came. My throat burned with fury, grief, and heartbreak. "How many more secrets do I have to uncover, Ben? How many more families have you destroyed?" He dropped to his knees. "Please, I will fix this. I will find her. I will make it right." I stepped back, disgusted. "No, you will not. You have done enough. Every time you tried to fix something, you broke it beyond repair." 2 days later, I got another message, this time with a photo attached. It showed a young woman standing outside a clinic. Her face was familiar, hauntingly familiar. The message read, "You met me once. You just did not know who I was." My heart dropped. I zoomed in on the photo. It was Emma. My hands began to tremble. I thought I was losing my mind. Another message followed. "Your husband is lying. I am not his daughter, but I am Marianne's. And I knew who he was when I met Kevin. I wanted him to suffer, the way my mother suffered when he abandoned us." I gasped. The room spun. Emma knew the truth all along. She knew Ben was her mother's old lover. She knew Kevin was his son. She knew what she was doing when she came into our lives. It was all planned. A slow, patient revenge. That evening, I went to Emma's apartment. She looked surprised when she opened the door. "Suzanne," she whispered, "you should not be here." I stepped inside. "You knew everything, did you not?"
She looked down. Yes. Tears filled my eyes. Why, Emma? Why destroy my family like this? Kevin loved you. Her voice cracked. My mother loved your husband. She gave him everything, and he left her to raise me alone. I watched her cry herself to sleep every night. When she died, I promised her I would make him feel the same pain. So when I met Kevin and realized who he was, I saw my chance. I shook my head, horrified. You used my son. She nodded, crying. Yes, at first it was revenge, but then I fell in love with him. I never meant for it to go this far. I stared at her. And sleeping with Ben? Was that part of the plan too? She wiped her tears. No, that was a mistake. I wanted to humiliate him, to make him feel small. But when he looked at me, it was like I was staring at the ghost of my mother's pain. I hated him. I hated myself. Her body shook as she spoke. I'm sorry, Suzanne. I know nothing I say can fix what I have done. I took a deep breath, my voice soft but firm. You have destroyed 3 lives, and you have punished the wrong people. Ben deserved your anger, not Kevin. Her tears fell harder. I know. That is why I'm leaving. I can't face him. Emma left town that week. Kevin didn't even say goodbye. He moved out soon after, saying he needed space. Space from me, from his father, from the pain that had shattered everything he believed in. As for Ben, he tried to reach out, to apologize, to beg for forgiveness, but my heart had nothing left to give. One evening, he packed his bags and left. No shouting, no tears, just silence. For the first time in 32 years, the house felt both empty and peaceful. I sat by the window that night, watching the rain pour down. The memories came rushing back. Our wedding day, Kevin's first steps, the laughter, the love, the lies. So much of my life had been built on the illusion of loyalty, and when it fell apart, I thought I would never recover. But as the storm raged outside, I realized something powerful. I was still standing. Weeks passed. Slowly, I began to rebuild myself. I went back to church. I reconnected with old friends I had pushed away during the chaos of marriage. And I started therapy, something I had once thought I would never need. Through the pain, I found strength I never knew I had. One Sunday morning, Kevin visited. He looked tired, but there was peace in his eyes. He hugged me tightly. I'm sorry, Mom, he said softly, for running away. I smiled through my tears. You have nothing to apologize for, son. We sat for hours, talking, healing. He told me he had forgiven Emma, not because she deserved it, but because he wanted peace. And in that moment, I realized something. Forgiveness is not about forgetting the pain. It's about freeing yourself from it. If you're listening to my story right now, I want you to remember this. Betrayal can break you, but it can also rebuild you into someone stronger. Sometimes the people we love the most are the ones who hurt us the deepest. But pain does not have to be the end. It can be the beginning of a new life, a new chapter, a new strength. So if you're walking through heartbreak, don't lose hope. Don't let bitterness be your final word. Let healing be. Thank you so much for listening to my story today. If you felt something while watching this, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And most importantly, drop your thoughts in the comments. I would love to hear from you. Until next time, remember, even after the storm, the sun always finds a way to rise again.